So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live show with live peoples having an at it in chat. It's recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. So prior to my visit to Ireland, I puttled along to, well, my husband took me to the Range, which is a shop we have in the UK. And they have some pretty good. They have some pretty good stuff. They have some. It's not too pricey. It's a little bit cheaper than most art shops, and they have some decent things. They have some Winsor & Newton things. They have some Derwent things. They have some quite good quality paints for artists, and they have a good children's section as well. So I saw this heavyweight case-bound sketchbook. Now I love my extra wet strength. This is 140, this is 170, and this is 140. These are about 99p this size, but you can get away with a little bit of water, and it's the one I use when I make my little book of watercolours, and you can re-wet them and they don't go to mush. So this is extra wet strength to scribble any water-based medium. These are the Gansai Tambi watercolours. Made some fat puddles. So the backing is, the page is actually photocopy paper, but the actual little palette, paper palette, is extra wet strength sketchbook paper. This will be fine. This one, or because it says it's okay for a watercolour. Now it doesn't mean that you can work wet on wet. What it means is that you can wet your colours and you can just do just a basic water sketch. But as you can see, I've used this and used it and used it, and that paper is just perfect. And this is extra wet strength, and although it says that that one is 180, this is 170, so it's not too bad. Having said that, this was a lot more expensive. The ones this size are normally about £2 or £3, a £5 for a big one, a £10 for a massive one. I like the Winsor & Newton, and I'd normally buy cheap sketchbook, hence the one behind it. So I thought I'd have some nice ones. Now they were only £2.99 or £3.99 and £5.99, but of course I bought the spiral one, and I actually misread it. So because I can't read, I thought it said 50 sheets, and that one was 96. But actually this is 50 and that one's 48. So really, I prefer the spiral bound because I can't hold a sketchbook. It's impossible for me to hold one out. So actually what I might do is give these to my daughter for her birthday next month. But I want to go back and get the spiral bound one in the A4 size. This is A6, beg your pardon. This one is 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 7/8 of an inch. And the A4 we call in the UK is 8 1/4 by 11 3/4 inches. And then the big one here, now this is the Dale Rowney one, and this one is 160. So this one is the sea white, and this is better quality than this one. This is 40 pages. Now normally this size, they're £2.99 I think, in the sea white. And I love the sea white because it says extra wet strength. But it's, oh beg your pardon, this is 140. So there's not much in it. But it does say it's extra wet strength, and that means that they've done something to it. Because I do prefer this one to this one. This is a cheapy version, but it's an A3. It will take a little bit of a wash. It's quite good quality sketchbook, and I normally buy those for the girls to use. But I do like my sea white extra wet strength. But I can't hold a sketchbook. I bought this one because I thought it had more pages in it. But I'll give those to my daughter for her birthday because she's 20 and she's at university doing art, so they always come in handy. And I give her my cheap ones and then she's been gessoing the cheap one, so she's used all my gesso up because I won't be using it anymore. But I like the spine one because I can open them and lay them flat, because I cannot hold a sketchbook. So these are really good if you've got pulley hands. You open them up, either landscape or portrait. So that was a bit of a boo-boo, but they weren't very expensive, not for Winsor Newton, so I kind of like that. So the next two I bought, I nearly threw those on the dog then, because this is an A3 size, and an A3 is 11.7 by 16.5 inches, and basically it's two A5s. I haven't got two A5s, but if we put that one there, if we put that one there and flip it over, it's basically two A5s, two A4s make an A3. Unfortunately, the brain is not connected to the mouth today, so apologies. So this was a cheapy one, and again, I think these are about £1.99, but it's an A3 one. It's a big size, and I've been using this to do a lot of my sketches for my colour book. But of course, I think when you go to hospital, it's I don't know, but I'm always depressed. Or not depressed, I'm down. And to cheer myself up, I bought the A3 size. So I think this is about £10. But again, I think I'll give those to my daughter as a birthday present. Because I bought it to take it with me to Ireland. I haven't opened it. So. And the A3 ones, they're beautifully bound with the hard bound, but it's just difficult for me to use. Now, because I bought this cheaper one to do my sketches in, I'll come to those in a second. They had some more expensive, I think they were Dale Rowney pockets, and these are punch pockets. Now, I gave my daughter, I've lent her a big file A3 for her art things, but I thought I bought two packets. I actually bought one for her, but I didn't give her it. I forgot to give her it, and she's gone back to uni now. So this would be quite good for putting my colour pages in, and then I can open them and they're all kind of protected. So I think these were only about £1.99. The others, there were less in them. There's 10 in this one. These are a little bit thinner, I presume, because obviously the more art orientated ones are more expensive, but they still do the same job. They'll still protect my colour pages. So this is for my colour book, and I thought they'd be nice if I have to go to a publisher's. They're more presentable, and I can just borrow my portfolio that she used at uni. The other thing, because I bought this A3, and I actually found one in the pound shop, so but I didn't buy it. This one is 18 inches by 18, but I bought it because you can put, I can't lift this, but it's got a clip, and it will hold an A3 that way or that way. And it does have its elastic band on it so that it will stop it flapping. And of course the best thing about it is you can actually pick this up with a couple of sheets in it. So it's only kind of MDF, and I think these were about £3.99 or something, so they weren't too expensive. But I did want a board to take with me, so that I could do some large sketches. And the reason for these videos is I wanted to show you what I bought before I went and what I actually took with me. And I didn't take any of these things with me that I've bought at the works. Oopsie. I'll just put that back there for a second. I didn't take it with me because last minute I thought it was bulky, and I changed my mind before I set off. One thing I did find at the works were these little photo albums. Now I go on about my my daughters have moved things round, but I've just found, and now I've just lost. I've just found 4. I bought 4 of these for a giveaway, and I've just found them. It's taken me a year to find them. This is from Paper Chase, and it's an A4, and it's a photo pocket. You just put a photograph in it. And this is what I made my little book of watercolours with. And as you can see, I've actually taken my huge one apart, and I'll show you in a second. I was inspired by, if you look at this one, although it's not landscape, it's portrait. Look at that beautiful spine. Instead of the little thin spine, we have a beautiful fat spine. And I think they were $1.99. So what I thought I would do is I would buy one and use it as a little colour book. And then I saw this baby that holds, it's 200 pockets. So I could do quite a lot with 200 pockets. If I wanted a 21st century watercolour travel book, and I can use this one either travel or I can use it at home. So I bought, I think these were $3.99 and these were $1.99. I bought 3, and I'll show you the other one in a second. But that gave me the idea of, oh, perhaps I can improve on this watercolour book here. The other thing I bought, which I think there were a couple of pounds, were 3 soft brushes, because I want to start doing watercolours wet on wet again. So I've got so much watercolour paper, I'm returning a lot to art, so I wanted some larger brushes, because you can work quicker and do watercolours with these larger brushes. So that's why I bought those, and obviously didn't take them with me because I knew I wouldn't be doing any watercolouring as in wet on wet. So we can pop that to one side. So that one, I took one with me to Ireland, and I roughly took out all the pages that I'd put into here, except the Gansai Tambi watercolours, because I've made a new watercolour book. So that is what it looks like when it's brand new, and that looks what it looks like when it's stuffed with watercolour pages. And I'll do another video about this book in a minute, in a bit. So to follow is how to make this book work for you. Now I can't find my, if you buy a headband, not a bobble, but it looks like a large bobble, it's a lot nicer than an elastic band, but I just can't put my hand on one at the moment. And then you can have fancy things on, like the jewellery that I was looking at. I thought I could kind of hang something quite nice on there that would look quite pretty. But that's when I finished this. Nothing's stuck in here at the moment, everything's quite loose. But I just wanted to show you that you can use either size of these. But if you can't buy new ones, I must say they're a couple of pounds. These are vintage ones. Now this is the one I was going to, I prepped it ready, and then I was so inspired by finding this. In fact, I couldn't find this, my daughter had hidden it. I found it, found 2 of them today. These I bought from a model show a couple of years ago, and these are the old-fashioned ones, so they're slightly better built, shall we say. They're thicker plastic, and they have a thicker plastic middle, and then when you flick it over you have another page. So what you would do with this one is cut down here and down here, down here and down here, and that will give you this. So basically this was what you were supposed to do with it, and put, and I've had to make this a bit smaller because it's smaller than ever. So you would put your photograph in like this, and you would turn it over, and you would put your next photograph in there. And it's not very neat because I've done 5 of these and still can't get them neat. So if you have any comments how to make them neat, please put them below. Cut down there and cut down there, and what that gives you is it gives you the plastic we need to protect our watercolour. So that makes a page stuck to here, and then when we stick one at this side, we have a hard, more sturdy page, and all we've used is sketchbook. We don't need, if we do this, we don't need to make our photocopy paper page because we're using the actual book. And somebody left a comment about, well, why wouldn't you want to cut plastic and stick it in? One is, plastic is never neat to cut, and why would you want to stick plastic in when these are already in? It's so much easier. And that has got a double page in each one, and that's a little fat book of colours. So if the only thing you had was Derwent watercolour pencils and ink tents, you could put that, all those colours on one complete page. So you've got all bright yellow, all next colour yellow, all reds. If you've got lots of colours, make them into squares. So you've got maybe a page of bright yellows, a page of warm yellows, a page of oranges, a page of orange red, sorry, a page of pink reds. It depends on your stash, on your watercolour pencils and crayons. If you have 140 some Neos, a page would be quite good for each one. Or you could do 2 colours. You could put yellow and blue, and then because it's a watercolour, the middle you would mix as your greens. There's lots of different combinations, so I'm going to be doing some more combinations of colour mixing dry on here, so that if you only have a few colours, you can still make a big buck of watercolours. So these are the vintage ones, which I like because they're a little bit sturdier, and these are the more modern ones. So you've got, it's a flimsier plastic and it's a bit ugly, but once you've covered it with colour, it doesn't really matter. The important bit is the spine and your plastic to protect the colours from contaminating each other. If you've got that, it doesn't matter what kind of combination. And I've actually got quite a few others to show you as well, which I've bought after I've done this. So I did this in Ireland. It took me a whole day to mess about, and I still haven't got it how I like it. So I will be doing a video of how I make my decisions about colours and how I put them in a book. But of course, for a couple of pounds, I think this was £3.50. And the other reason I bought it is when I was going to use for a colour book. Now this was actually damaged, this one, and I still paid full price because I liked it. This one is actually, I think, for a present for my daughter because she's 18, so I was going to put some photographs in for her as an extra little prezi. So I didn't waste £3. If I wasn't going to use it for the colour book, I was going to use it to put photographs in as an extra little prezi. Pictures of when she was a baby and things you do when to embarrass 18-year-olds. So that was my haul from the works. That was in the UK before we even set off to Ireland. So I should just pop that out. Sorry, beg your pardon, not the works. That was the range. So that was my mini haul from the range. Very quickly, And I was going to do a different video, but I'll do the same video because you can see the similarity in what I've bought from different places. So we will jump to, and I just have a mouthful of tea. We will jump to the model railway show. Now, model railway shows are for modellers, they're for train enthusiasts, they're for people to buy books, DVDs, and also for people that actually create the models as well. So you've got people that like to build engines, people that like to have a layout. You have all sorts of people, and then we have families that bring the children because it's obviously nice in a wet rainy afternoon to take children to a model railway show. Now, the modellers do lots of different things. Some do their own scenery. A lot of them at the back of the model railway that's going round, they'll have a scene that somebody's painted. Now, you can buy them already done, but people do paint them. They also paint the wagons, they dirty them up, they do all sorts of other things. So they do have paintbrushes, they have specialist paints, normally Umbro, which is an acrylic, but it's a stinky acrylic. It's not an acrylic, it's for metal, for painting metal or plastic. It's not for painting in colour books. And they're like little tiny tins, and I'll show you them when I do my studio tour. But one thing they did have is a little pot, and it has luckily 6 little pots in a row. Now, I have some of these, and they're only £1.25, and my idea was I would take my watercolours with me. And I actually can't remember if I did, so apologies. I think I've moved them, but I've got a little set that I'm going to put out with a zine, and this was a little tin. They go in the tin, but actually I'm going to put alizarin crimson, cadmium red, lemon yellow, cadmium yellow, cerulean blue and French ultramarine, and they're my 6 colours, and I do like my 6 colours. And then I have a little tiny paintbrush, so this is going to be a little set that I am going to produce for people to come make their own colours. There's only 6 colours, so it's not too expensive. It's very good quality paint, and I think I could put maybe, I just found the back of one of these sketchbooks I've had for a long time. It was £2.99. I wish I'd bought more. It was from W.H. Smith, and actually it was 140, and I've done a lot of watercolours on this sketching, but it's a plastic backing. Now, I've seen it I've got it out because I want to use it as a Bible page protector, because the one I bought won't go in the Bible that I've got, but it doesn't matter. But I'm going to come to that in my other haul, which is next. But if you cut a little bit of this kind of plastic, it will sit here, and you will have a little bit of a plastic palette, very similar to these. So I think, but it keeps it light. It still keeps it light. If you're going to start cutting these up, you're going to make it kind of chunky. But I think a little bit of plastic here, thick, almost like card plastic is the best way I can explain it. And you've got the little set here, and they're magnetised. I don't know why the magnet's not working, but they're magnetised. Maybe I've unmagnetised it with the metal. But I thought they were handy little boxes. And it's a complete watercolour system, but it's not one that's going to run out. This will last you a long time if you're colouring in a book, because there's tons and tons of colour in there. But the other thing I wanted to show was that you would obviously be able to put a colour in each one of these. So you could have a squirt of colour in each one of these. or you could use these for acrylics. Now I think that's what I originally bought it for, is sorry, not acrylics, gouache, for mixing gouache, because my gouache cracked. So because I didn't make it properly, you need to wet it and stir it and mix it, and then it can dry. So that's what this little set's for here. And of course these are quite nice, and again I'm going to use them for, one is for the gouache, and they only had 2 and they were £1.79 each, so I was kind of, you know, I would have bought quite a few because they have 6 wells and a middle. So again, when I do my colour mixing for my next few videos of colour mixing, you know, we're going to have, I put that red one in there, put that red one in there, I put that yellow one in there, that's the light one, that's the green, that's the blue there. And these colours here are the only 6 that you really need until you decide that you like a product. But you can do your colour mixing with these. Now I bought some of these for 99p. I think they're about £1.90 now, £2, but that's still not bad for colour mixing, and these are very, very good. They're very well pigmented. So I bought 2, and I thought I'd make some gouache as well, and they both dry, so there's no reason why you can't just take this with you, because it will be dry once you've mixed them. They're dry. My other little find were these. Now they were a bit expensive, but I actually quite liked the idea. These were £4.99, and these are paint stirrers. They are paint stirrers. So you've got the little flat edge on here, and you have a little tiny spoon, diddy spoon at that side there. And I thought for colour mixing or when I'm messing about, both ends would be quite good. So that was for my colour mixing. The other thing I found was masking tape. Now they have a good masking tape for models, because if you mask off an engine and you paint it and you peel it off, you want a really lovely straight line. You don't want it to break up. So if you use masking tape sometimes that you buy for the DIY, and that's why this was £3.79, but it was wide, and I had intended to do some watercolouring when I was there, but I didn't. But that's why I bought that. I thought I would try it and see how good it is, because I can get a supply of this when I go to model shows. And the final thing I bought at the model show, oops, sorry, my jars are, was this. Now this was £15, £14.99. I liked it for 2 reasons. It was a 12 by 12 cutting mat. I didn't have one, but the main reason, and I'm going to have to open it, just bear with me a second. I don't know really. Oh, there it is. So again, you can find some really good things, and when I take it out, you'll see what it is. It's a rotating, self-healing cutting mat. So you can put something on it and turn it and paint it. But of course you can turn it while you're cutting. But I thought, now it won't work on my table at the moment because it's not flat, but it will work in a second. It has a turning circle in the middle. So if you have it this way, it won't move, because that's like a felted mat. You can see the brushing. Like it's got a soft brushness on it, almost like velvet. It isn't, it's man-made, but that's a non-slip surface. But if you turn it this way and you put that in the middle, a magic thing happens and it turns around. Now if you hold it, if it's flatter, but the idea is that I love turning my, I've got too many things on the table, I'll show it a bit later. in the next video. I'll show it when I'm colouring. You can, it's not going to move anywhere because it's on that circle, but you can move when you want to colour. Instead of moving everything against a surface, it will move nicely. Now, I'm not sure how well it will work. This is for the next video, but I just thought for £15, I would like that. And the other thing is that my hubby's a tight Yorkshire lad, and he thinks if he takes me to a man's train modelling model railway, I can't spend. He has another thing coming. But again, all these things, apart from that, are reusable. But I know that the guys swear by this tape. It really does give you a clean line. And they actually have, which I was tempted to buy, this was £3.79. For about £6 you can get an applicator, or I don't know what the word is. You can get the gadget so you can push down and you can just do it really easily. I've forgotten the word for it. It's kind of a masking tape. Oh, I can't think of the word I want. If it was sellotape, it would be like this. A dispenser. That's the word I'm looking for. So it's a masking tape dispenser. A bit like when you use the whiteout stuff, the tape. You run it along where you want it. This is the same thing. But I thought, well, I'll try and see how good it is first before I do that. So I have, and again, I love the fact that it had 6. If it had have had 5, I wouldn't have bought them. But it has my perfect 6 for my 6 favourite primary colours: 2 reds, 2 blues and 2 yellows. So again, I can colour mix, I can get those in there, and then I can just take this. One will have watercolour in it and one will have gouache in it. So I've got 2 things for gouache that I bought at the model show, and my little stirrer will come in handy for manipulating colour, so that I'm not putting it in a paintbrush, because if you put a paintbrush in colour, you've got to wash it out. You're wasting it. So this was my kind of tight Yorkshire lass way of manipulating the colour, and kind of making sure that I waste the least paint as possible. And that was my little haul from the Bangor Model Railway Show in Northern Ireland at the weekend. And part 2 will be the other haul. Oh, I might actually I'll get this next lot in, because the far one is the Bible journaling and all the Bible journaling goodies that I bought, so I can keep that separately. Right, so that was the model show. So bear with me a second while I just move this. I have 2 others actually, beg your pardon. Oops, I've got so many piles. So this is going to lead onto a purge and a restructuring of the studio. So while we were in Northern Ireland, we toddled off to Southern Ireland, and we went to a beautiful little town, or big town, called Sligo, where I found an art shop. Now, I bought these first. I should have done them first, actually. I'd forgotten I'd done the railway. But before we got to the model show, I found this particular, and I thought that was really, really pretty, and a nice colour. And this one is a sketching pencil set, but they're water-based. And it's 160. So this is a little prezzy. I think it was about £14, £12. This is a prezzy. In fact, it was euros, so it was a bit less, for my daughter's 20th because I like to get her some bits and pieces. But again, it's a spiral. It has the water brush mark, so it means you can do a light wash. You can't saturate it, but you can do a light wash. And this is the water sketching pencils, and it's something that she's not done, so I thought she'd quite like that. And it's a nice size as well. So, and when she's filled it, I think I might pinch the back and the front and the spine, because I can refill that size. It's a nice size for me. So it's a Dale Rowney. It's a Catchet sketching pencil set, and there's different ones. Some are charcoal, some are pencil, and this is a water one. I picked up the wrong one. This isn't the water one. Oh, never mind. It's fine. It's a sketching one. Right. And she doesn't like sketching in pencil. So that was the first thing that we bought there. And as I said, I bought these before I bought the other palettes. So I found the Dale Rowney watercolour postcards because they're always handy and I like them for doodling and for practising. Again, I've got these. I've got quite a few of these. 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 10. I use these for colour mixing, and I leave the colours in them. So again, I can do some more colour mixing, and this one will. This one is brilliant because this one says 2 reds, 2 yellows, 2 blues, and it allows me to make a purple, an orange, and 2 greens. And from there you can get some gorgeous colours. So I bought 2 of those because they were €1 each, which isn't quite £1. I think it's about 75p. So I thought they were quite a good mix. And again, I wanted to prove we can make lots of colours from 6. So I'll be making some. I bought these were a good price as well, €4.65. And this one as well, because I thought I don't normally do my watercolours and I want to get back into them. This was £3.50, and again it's got 2, 4, 6. It's got the 8 colours here, so I like that, and it's got the mixing palettes in different depths. So because mine are yonks old, I kind of bought some new ones, but I did buy those before I saw the other 2. So I kind of gone mad on mixing palettes. But I tend to, if it's a water base, you can leave those colours in for as long as the colours last. So there's not always a good reason to do that. Along the way, I bought those. Right, I'll very quickly show this huge sketchbook. I have a drawing board which I bought, which I will show you at the end, and that was bought at this art shop and I really liked it, and luckily it actually fits into my desk, but I'll show that last. So of course the works, I was still thinking about my watercolour book, so I'd run out. I took a little strip with me, so I'd run out of double-sided tape, but should have known, so busy, didn't get a chance to use it, but it'll come in. This is a little present for my other daughter. She does colouring, and she does other little craft things as well. She loves to do little felted creatures, so I thought this little box, it would be good for putting some Bible journaling things in, or some little bits of washi tape, any little bits that you want to kind of have about but don't want them kicking about all over the place. This I thought was a good little box. It's a storage box with elasticated closure, tag holder for labelling, so you could have quite a few of these, and they were £3, and it's green, so I'd have loved it for me, but I bought this particular one for her so that she could put that on her desk and it can have little bits in it, because she's always got lots of bits, a bit like me, everywhere. So that was a £3, but again, I buy my girls lots of little silly presents, as well as the big ones. I nearly threw that on Alfie then, because Alfie's fast asleep. So the works in Bangor also had, for £2, and I'd forgotten I'd bought the other 3 brushes. But these look quite good. They're not brilliant, but they'll do the job. They're nylon. It means I can play with my watercolours and not be worried about ruining my beautiful soft Winsor & Newton brushes. I hate to say this, but I think I'll probably croak it before I get to use those. There's just something about not using expensive things, a tight Yorkshire lass. So we bought those, which they look quite good, and there's a 1.5 inch, an inch and a quarter, and the other ones that I bought were 1 inch, 2 inch and 3 inch. So this big one will be quite nice to use, because I want to do some more watercolours, and wet on wet, so you do need some bigger paintbrushes really for wet on wet. Can't mess about with little tiny ones like I'm used to. I also found this little pocket, and I think I like the pocket more than I did the washi, but it says, I think it's craft tape, but the reason I bought this, and again I saw this after I'd bought all the Bible stuff, I'd already bought that. This was the last haul that I made, and I thought that would be quite nice to keep little things in for my Bible journaling little kind of tote that I'm going to make up. So I love the little pouch more than I like the washi, but I thought the washi would come in as well. It doesn't say that it's washi. I do plan to make my own washi. 2 reasons. One is my tight Yorkshire lass, the other one is they're never the colours I want, so I'm going to make my own washi, and I have a lot of tape that I have, so I'm going to make my own washi tapes, but I thought, well, they'll be quite good to keep the size, because I haven't made any of this size, so I thought that would be quite handy. And they were £1 from the works, so probably things are slightly different than in the UK, but probably not. I bought lots of sticky labels and bags, and the reason I bought the bags is I found another photo album, and this one holds 100, but they're top loading, and the reason I bought that is again to do with the watercolour book, and that was £3. So I kind of like that, and again thought, well, if I don't use it, I can use it, because both girls have got 2 birthdays 2 days apart. One's 20, one's 18, so I can do 2 kind of cheapy albums, throw loads of photographs in, and it'll be an extra little prezi for them. So if I can repurpose it as it's supposed to be if I don't use it for photographs. But because of these, when I was looking at these, it reminded me of this. And because they've all got a plastic strip, a sticky strip, if you stuck them all together, in theory, you will make a photo album. And of course, I had to buy bigger ones. So even if you didn't want to do that, you could make one of these, because it's the plastic that protects the colours that's the important bit. And then you could put a binder around it, or just fold a piece of cardboard around it, and then an elastic band or a hair bubble, and you have a very quick, and these were at 150, from £1 to 150. So you've got a really cheap, if you didn't want to cut any other part of a photo book, you can do it with one of these. And some of them, that's got 50, it's got 50, so you've got 50 pages. 50 pages of colour. That's a lot of colour. So you can make them however you want, and if this particular size fits like an old book, then that's going to be quite good. So that was another reason why I bought some of these books, and I'm also going to make some cards, because I've been given some of these last year, and I have one or two. I have some old calendars, so I'm going to make some cards. So I wanted different sizes so that I can make some cards, so they can have some handmade cards in the Abbey, just a little bit more unusual, and all the profit goes to the restoration of the roof, because it needs a new roof, and it's a big roof. So there's a new project to re-roof the Abbey, and that will be part of my Art in the Abbey coming soon. So I have that photo album, and of course I found another one. Now this really excited me. I know it's a normal size, but it was this. Again, I get excited about plastic. There's only one pocket, but it's a little bit thicker, but then we have a pocket here. So we have a pocket there and a pocket there. And if we took those out, we could put a binder clip or the little ring clips, or even some nice ribbon. And instead of having this lovely big chunky file, you will have a thin 21st century book of watercolours, but you can have it that size. And again, I want to have something different sizes, because I think if it's bigger, it will go in a bigger colour sketchbook, but it's thinner, if that makes any sense. So I have my huge chunky one, but I also want to start making some thinner ones for particular things. If something's this thin with quite a few colours in it, I mean, I've forgotten how many pages we've got now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, it's about 20, 24. Then that means I can have 24 pages of colour, and that's quite thin, but that will go in most colour books. The only one it won't go in is the tiny Kerber-Razan and the little tiny the mother's one that's behind me. I'll just put my hands on that. Oh, it would go in there. These were £1. I don't know if they do them anymore. It's an A5 zipper file from Paper Chase, and I'd lost them, and I bought 4 to go with the 4, so you can have a very tiny thing. So I'm going to go through that again. Oh, thank you, Caroline. Thank you. So I found the files now, and I found the other books as well. And again, they would go in there, so you could have a colour book that would be this big but quite thin. And I can't believe I found that after I sent Melody. So that gave me the idea to buy this, and again it was a couple of pounds. I don't normally spend a lot, and if I didn't use it for that, again I can use it for photocopies. So I then found this clear display, and again I had the idea of putting an A4 sheet in and having this as a desk colour book, and being normally the same size, and again it was £3. Or I could put my pages that I've already coloured in it as well. It had 2 things to this, but I didn't buy 2. And then of course what happens is we find colour books. So we've got the works, and I'll do a quick flip of this because I have never seen inside it. This is Enchanted Woodland. There was about 6 different ones. And we also have the Magic Garden Colour and Dream Create. And it's got a wooden kind of really thick, but I've just popped that one out actually. They're kind of not metallic, but they're kind of shiny and unusual. But what I was going to do with this is take my rotring pen and do some more detail inside each one. I just felt that I'd like to do that. Or perhaps maybe the watercolour effect. Because these pages are single-sided, but they're quite thick. So I'll do a flip of those 2. And there was one other colour book, which was expensive for me, but it was a one must buy, because it was by a gentleman called, and I always go on about this guy, this Irish artist, but he was an illustrator, and he also did a lot of stained glass, and that's why him and his twin brother didn't live very long, because the stained glass, they were playing with lead and warming lead, and it's very, very unhealthy. And I can't find it on this video, so when I do a flip, but it was called Harry Clark, The Art of Harry Clark, and unfortunately it's been put somewhere where I don't know where it is. And that was the other thing I bought from the works, and that was £5, but it has stained glass in it. And again, because I'm doing art in the Abbey and art for therapy, it will give me an idea of what colour pages are going to look like when it's a stained glass window, because I'm hopefully going to bring out a colour book and some colour pages that are all the windows in Selby Abbey will be a colour page. So everything is kind of connected. So that's the end of my kind of art haul, and coming up next will be my spiritual haul, which is in this huge bag here. Oh, one other thing I did buy very quickly is I found my French ultramarine and I found my light cadmium red, so I can now do a colour, a Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2 colour mixing with 6 colours. So that will be another video coming up. So I managed to find those as well. So I did some quite good shopping. Don't shop for clothes and handbags. I was very good, but I did do quite a little bit of shopping. But everything is reusable, and everything is for art and therapy. So thank you for watching.